We have one message for America.
Welcome to Afghanistan.
Women are out in the streets, they're out and about, have more rights than men.
Why on earth would you peddle such delusional, disingenuous crap to the world?
It's easy to look at it from just a single perspective.
Well, what did you see that you broadcast to the world on your channel?
The women were very happy from what we saw.
In their family homes?
In their family homes, yeah. But you've been?
Have I been?
Women being happy, being locked up in their homes in Afghanistan. One of the reasons I became a journalist, I find it quite emotional listening.
Now the tide of journalism is changing.
You're not doing journalism, Arab. Do me a bloody favour, mate. The attitude of these Talibros.
I don't agree with any of these things, of course, but...
Oh, bro, you're a Talibro and you put women in cages, don't you?
Didn't you say to a young girl back in your cage in one of your
clearly
videos?
sarcasm. Like it was.
Are you opposed to the radicalisation of young children?
Of course.
This is from your trip entitled "Young Taliban Trained Me for War." The US State Department and the UK's Foreign Office could not be clearer. Do not travel to Afghanistan for any reason. Ever since the disastrous US withdrawal, media coverage has understandably focused on the rapid rollback of rights and the atrocious plight of women under Taliban rule. The Taliban, however, thinks we've got it all wrong. Taliban-linked social media accounts have been amplifying this promotional video, which aims to persuade US tourists to swap Cancun for Kabul.
We have one message for America.
Welcome to Afghanistan.
What's up, Yusuf? And the American souvenir. Oh, it's not even on safety right now.
10-pound ramen fat.
Probably worth reminding ourselves as we watch that promo video, it's now 1,396 days since the Taliban banned teenage girls from going to school and 936 days since the Taliban banned women from going to university. So is tourism really a viable means of reviving a desolate economy in a country scarred by decades of war? Or is it just whitewashing the Taliban? A rising number of adventurous content creators, dubbed Talibros, think it's the former. Well, joining me now is Yalda Hakim, who's the presenter of The World on Sky News, and three YouTubers who've all spent time in Afghanistan. The Lebanese-American adventure traveller calls himself Arab, the travel YouTuber Harry Jaggard, and the Canadian YouTuber Nolan Saumure for the channel Seal on Tour. Well, welcome to all of you. Let me start with you, Arab, if I may. Do you want to give us your actual name, or is that the name you prefer to use?
I mean, I took over the word Arab across the majority of social medias by being called Arab. So I think that's a powerful responsibility and we'll go by that name.
Okay, well, I want to play a clip that you gave the world. Let's take a look at this.
Got a big ass machine gun here.
Follow me along this journey as I sit with suicide bombers, generals, scholars, and the protectors of Sharia law as they try to convert me to a jihadi warrior for the next 7 days.
I think it's time.
I think it's time for what?
I think it's time for Pledge Allegiance, my friend.
Pledge allegiance.
Are you ready?
As I sleep in their homes by standing on my beliefs but respecting the culture, I will put all biases aside to document the Taliban from a perspective of humanity and earn respect amongst its elders.
Guys, this is insane. I'm surrounded by little kid Taliban.
Women are out in the streets, they're out and about. The whole they don't have rights thing here, we've just learned that they have more rights than men.
Women can travel too.
Women can travel to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And women will be safe if they travel to Afghanistan.
So my question for you, Arab, and I say this with all due respect, but why on earth would you peddle such delusional, disingenuous crap to the world, given the statistics I just read out to you, which, by the way, I only know those statistics because Yalda, who was born in Kabul, actually promotes these figures on a regular basis to update the world about what is actually happening to women there. So my question for you is, why be part of the Taliban's propaganda machine? What's in it for you?
You know, it's easy to look at it from just a single perspective, but as travelers, as travel YouTubers, what we tend to do is we go to places and we try to see the humanity in it all in order to bridge a gap of peace through the humor, through the humanization, through being able to talk to people from different cultures. If we constantly peddle the same sort of narratives that are always pushed on Western media, what then tends to happen is what you're seeing happen in the world right now, where everything is being bombed by everyone and everything. And that's not really what we want to do. Now, because of the power of the internet and the ability to hold the entire universe in your hand, you have travel YouTubers spawning from all walks of life, influencers who are now using this little device to start documenting their lives. And they're seeing that this whole news narrative that we've been pushed our entire lives is false, because you attract what it is that you put out into the world. And so if you're going into these places and you are coming from a lens of coming to enjoy this place, experience it, etc., you'll get a completely different thing than if you're coming.
So just to be clear, all right, look, I'm sorry, just to interrupt you, but just to be clear, did you see girls going to school? Did you see women going to university? Did you see women playing sport at representative level? What did you see that you broadcast to the world on your channel?
We did go to schools. We did go into family homes where the women were very happy from what we saw.
In their family homes?
In their family homes, yeah. They have a different society, okay? Maybe their
Well, you don't think they wanted to go to school and university? They don't want to. They're all quite happy.
In many different places in the world, many women want many things, right?
No, I'm just asking you, in your experience in Afghanistan with the Taliban, your experience was women are quite happy to be stuck at home, unable to go to school or university. That's your takeaway from the Taliban regime.
When you want to word it like that to sensationalize it.
It's true. It's actually true. Those are facts.
Right, but you've been?
Have I been?
Yeah.
No, but funnily enough, Yalda has. So let me bring Yalda in here. Yalda, just for those who don't know your story, I do, but just very quickly summarise. You were born in Kabul. What happened to you?
Well, Piers, I find it sort of quite extraordinary, actually, and frankly quite emotional listening to Arab or Addison, whatever you call yourself, speak there about women being happy, being locked up in their homes in Afghanistan. One of the reasons I became a journalist is because I, as a young girl growing up in Australia, and my family were pushed out of Afghanistan because of the Soviet invasion of the country, I saw what happened to young Afghan girls during Taliban 1.0. The fact that they weren't allowed to go to school, the fact that no one knew in the outside world. And you're absolutely right, Arab, when you talk about having mobile phones now where these things can be documented. So today's Taliban is frankly no different to the Taliban of the 1990s. But the difference is we now know what they're doing. We can now document the fact that they aren't allowing girls to go to school. I myself come from a position of privilege because I was able to be educated in the West. My family raised me in Australia, and I became a journalist because one of the reasons was because of what I saw Afghan girls go through in Afghanistan. But the shtick here for these people, Piers, and frankly, it is a shtick. Go to dangerous places and glorify what's going on there, and frankly, because it's not a hellhole they have to live in.
Yeah, I mean, I just find it incredible, Arab. You were surrounded by men, and you don't seem to understand what's actually happening there because they don't want you to understand. Or, worse, you totally understand, but there's no money in it for you in telling the actual truth. The money is in being part of the Taliban. The money is in being part of a Taliban propaganda machine. We've all got these guys wrong. They're the nicest people you'll ever meet. They gave me a nice meal. They took me to meet their women in the homes. Do you not understand that you've been used here? One thing that I have in common with Harry and Meghan is that we all value privacy. If you've ever Googled your own name, discover bits of your address, phone number, and employment details hanging around, you'll be aware that your data privacy is under siege. That's because your data is purchased and sold by data brokers without your consent. Today's sponsor has a solution. Incogni contacts those shady websites and gets your personal data removed automatically. No forms, no emails, no ransoms. They handle all the back and forth of these brokers and update you on their simple dashboard. Incogni does not stop after the first sweep. They monitor and keep on removing your data if it pops up again. If you care about privacy and you want fewer spam calls, fewer junk emails, and a reduced risk of identity theft, this is a smart move. We've teamed up to give you a 60% discount on an annual plan at incogni.com/peers. Use code PEERS when you check out. That's Incogni, incogni.com/peers, PIERS. Use code PEERS when you check out.
In a way, of course, you are used. Yeah, because you have a platform and you have the ability to shift perspective. And that's why we do what we do. Now, you might look at it and you go, okay, you're humanizing and you're glorifying. No, since the beginning of time in media, there have been people that go to places, and now the tide of journalism is changing. Old journalism is no longer a thing. New journalism is going through.
You're not doing journalism, Arab. Do me a bloody favor, mate. You're not doing.
I've been to Haiti.
You're not doing journalism.
Warlords in Haiti.
You're a travel PR for the Taliban.
Cartel. I've been to the top favela leaders.
Whoopie-doo. Whoopie-doo. A journalist goes to Afghanistan, mate, and they report the truth.
It's journalism, but the reality is that other journalists have never been able to reach these top levels.
You're not a journalist.
They always come in with some sort of specific.
I'm sure if I said to the Taliban, hey guys, well, what I'm going to do is come and say what a lovely place it is and what nice guys you are and why the women all love to be at home and not at school and university or playing sport, I'm sure they go, oh, that's great, Piers.
Great.
Come to our country and we'll take good care of you. Let me bring in
what I said.
Let me bring in Harry. Oh, you pretty much did say. I saw the video. Harry, you're English. You went to Afghanistan in 2023. You say you found the Taliban to be shockingly friendly. Let's take a look at a clip of you there with a local Afghan child.
What do they want to be when they're older?
Mujahid.
Huh?
Mujahid.
Mujahid? Oh, wow.
Who wants to be Mujahid?
I remember that word. Wow, amazing.
I said the war is over. Why do you want to be Mujahid?
Does that mean the soldier?
Yeah, soldier.
Oh, wow. Is he educated in normal other subjects?
No. In the madrasa, they study only religion. No mathematics, no science.
Nothing?
Nothing. No computer.
Wow. So that's all they do? They just read the Quran all day?
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
Super interesting, and they were shockingly friendly. Didn't see many women there, Harry. Were they all being happy at home, or what was the deal?
I feel like you've taken a lot of content and you've just nitpicked like the only negative interaction I've had.
You posted it, not me.
Yeah, but there was I filmed 3 hours.
I'm not here to post every single minute of content you've ever put up.
No,
I've chosen an example of something which a little bit like Arab. I think what the trouble is with you tally bros, which is a disgusting term anyway, is that what you're doing, and you may not even realise it, or maybe you do. Like I say, I don't know. Only you know your motivation. But you're going in there saying the Taliban are shockingly friendly. The Taliban are shockingly disgusting. They're one of the most repressive regimes, particularly for women, that we've ever seen. And arguably, second time round, they're worse than they were first time round. And as a result, women are trapped in the home. They cannot go out. They cannot go to school. They cannot go to university. They cannot represent their country at sport. The whole thing's a bloody disgrace. And there's you Talibros dancing around with the Taliban like this is all a bit of a party. Like it's all a bit of fun, Harry. So justify yourself.
So if I was to not go to a country because I don't agree with some of the rules and regulations...
Well, do you think you're a journalist too or not?
I'm not saying that.
What do you think you are?
You're interrupting me, Piers. So if I was to not travel... I'm a YouTuber, I'm a content creator.
Okay.
I just travel and I document what I see. I went to Afghanistan with zero agenda. I'm not working for anyone. I work for myself, had zero agenda, and I filmed what I saw. And what I saw was they were nice to me. Were they nice to me for a reason because I'm making content? Of course they were. I realize that. But I can only tell you what I saw. I can't tell you what was going on behind closed doors or anything. Do I agree with all their rules? Of course I don't. I've been to North Korea. Do I agree with their rules? Absolutely not. But I saw what I saw and I had a positive experience. So am I going to tell you I had a negative experience? No.
Well, tell me some negative things about the Taliban while I've got you.
Of course, I don't agree with the how they treat women. Of course, I don't.
What do you think of the way they treat women? Speaking as a Taliban bro.
I'm not gonna not travel to Afghanistan because.
Tell me what you really think of the way the Taliban treat women.
Well, I didn't go to Afghanistan.
I'm asking you right now. Tell me what you think of the way. It's not funny. So I don't know why you're laughing. I'm just challenging you to tell the truth. Look at you all laughing. The pair of you, not all. I'll come to Nolan in a moment. Just to be clear, none of this is funny. It might be funny to you two, and that's fine. And you get your clicks, and you make your money, propping up an evil regime. That's funny to you. It's not funny to me, and it's not funny to Yalda, who has run a foundation, a brilliant foundation, for a long period of time, helping poor young girls in Afghanistan who are being repressed in the most shocking, disgusting manner. So let me again go to Yalda. Look, I just find the attitude of these tally bros almost offensive as the propaganda they spew out. You are a tally bro, whether you like it or not. Yalda, your response to Harry, who thinks the Taliban are all just shockingly friendly to him.
Well, the fact that they think they're friendly or they're laughing about the situation just shows the extreme privilege. You know, being a Westerner, frolicking around these places because you think you can, frankly. And the women of these countries, and especially Afghanistan, I mean, in the 21st century, it is the only country on the planet that, as a matter of policy, the de facto government has decided that girls and women should not go to school and should not go to university. The fact that they won't allow mothers to take their children to parks. But I'm glad you guys were having a good time. And as far as having access to the top aspect of the leadership of the Taliban, I have sat down with members of the Haqqani network, one of the most brutal wings of the militant wings of the Taliban, where at different points in the last 20 years when the Allied forces were in the country, they, at any given time, they would launch a suicide attack in the center of Kabul and kill up to 100 people. So the fact that you guys think maybe the country is now safe because the Taliban are no longer launching suicide attacks on the country, or you somehow think this is the culture of a country, the fact that they're repressing and oppressing women, and then you think it's actually funny when you talk about it, is frankly a disgrace.
Yeah, and Harry, let me just remind you, I don't know if you know this, but in November 2022, the Taliban announced a new slate of extreme laws, banned women from parks and gyms, reintroduced public flogging and executions. Like I say, barred women from university grounds and tutoring centres, and stoning. We will flog the women. We will stone them to death in public, said the Taliban's supreme leader in an audio message issued in March 2024. I didn't see any of that in your YouTube content. I mean, did it not make the edit, or did you not want to look for that stuff?
No,
Again, not funny. No, stonings aren't funny. Right. So try and take it a bit more seriously.
I find
you keep
it
laughing
funny
as if it's all a big joke.
No, I find it funny how an amazing country, there's 40 million people in Afghanistan, and obviously they don't all support the Taliban, and I absolutely do not support them. And I think the funny thing is that we're on the same page in that I don't agree with any of these things, of course, but you're making it seem like I do agree with them. And
bro, you're a phallic bro, and you put women in cages, don't you?
Didn't you say to a young girl back in your cage in one of your
clearly
videos?
Sarcasm. Like, it was so obviously sarcastic.
It's not sarcastic it's not funny or sarcastic for the women who are literally in cages right now.
And women who are being stoned to death in Afghanistan probably don't share your glib sense of humour about it. Let me bring in Nolan. So Nolan, you've got a slightly more nuanced take, thankfully. Let's play a clip of what you put up.
I'm gonna be honest, and this is gonna come at no surprise, but it's a complete sausage fest in here. I got all these gentlemen surrounding me, but never in my life have I been surrounded by women. Hello, sir. Good to meet you. I'm good. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. I'm gonna need some hand sanitizer. This hand is getting a little touchy. Maybe we could go play some volleyball. I have like a huge team of people I could play volleyball with. Seal and his Legion of Doom. Oh my god. Oh my god. That was funny. I don't know why his friend hit him. I have a new name for my posse. It's a Seal and his Legion of Doom. Where are we going? Me and my Legion of Doom are gonna go play volleyball. We're gonna kick some ass because we just have numbers, you know?
So let me ask you, Nolan, well, clearly very few women again. You know, do you understand that all of you guys in different ways are helping the Taliban with the content that you largely put up? Or are you prepared now, for example, to be completely condemnatory about everything the Taliban regime stands for, from your own experience? Many of us carry around bulky, worn-out wallets that are uncomfortable and full of junk. The big question is why? Ridge wallets can hold 12 cards plus cash with zero bulk. They're made from premium materials like aluminum, titanium and carbon fiber. And they're built with RFID blocking technology to defend your cards against digital theft. Ridge offers a lifetime warranty, so this might be the last wallet you ever need. The same lifetime guarantee applies to their key cases, suitcases and rings. All of them come with free shipping and a 99-day trial. For a limited time, get 10% off at Ridge by using code PIERS, P-I-E-R-S, at checkout. Just head to ridge.com and use code PIERS. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them I sent you.
I don't quite understand how I helped the Taliban. I don't quite understand how Harry would have helped the Taliban. I think you guys came down pretty hard on him. The fact of the matter is, when you travel to Afghanistan, I know Harry and I know his content, and he just wanted to be a tourist and he just wanted to document what the country is currently like. And when you're a tourist in Afghanistan, you can't avoid the Taliban. You're always going through Taliban checkpoints and you're always being invited to talk and have tea with them. Regardless, if you fundamentally disagree with their beliefs, which I personally do, it's unavoidable. Sorry, can you return to your original question?
Well, would you happily condemn the Taliban regime now?
No, and no. I didn't in my content.
That's my point. That's my point. So you guys are getting used because
it's
impossible for any rational human being not to condemn the Taliban.
Harry did. I think Harry and Arab, in certain circumstances when you travel in Afghanistan, you know, a lot of people try to travel to this country and be very apolitical. It's hard to ignore what's going on there, but some people truly just want to see the beauty of this country. But regardless, you can't move through this country without being meeting the Taliban, being involved, going through their checkpoints, even being invited to sit down and have tea with them.
Right, but the reason you're not prepared to condemn the reason you're not prepared to condemn the regime is, I assume, because you may want to go back. You may want to go back there, and you know what may happen to you if you do. I
was one of the only YouTubers who actually came forward and talked about the current state of women's rights. It wasn't the clips you just showed. That was more me kind of having fun with the situation at hand, with I had 100 gentlemen following me, but there was many moments where I was in public spaces that women couldn't frequent, and I decided I wanted to comment on this.
Okay.
There are also many times, Piers, in the content where I went to a women's market and sarcastically, the same way she saw me say, "Get back in the cage," I started wearing the burqas and laughing at how oppressed is the word that you would use, but how covered the women are and how they treat them. But you wouldn't show that clip.
Well, okay, well, here's your chance.
Condemn a little piece and then call us Talibros when that word isn't even for us.
So do you condemn? You are known as the Talibros, whether you like it or not, because people think you're being used as a propaganda tool, and I can quite understand why. I mean, I'll ask you, Arab, again. Arab, just to be clear, do you condemn the Taliban regime? Unreservedly.
I don't go around the world and condemn people.
Okay, great. Then you've answered my question.
Because of my job.
No, you don't get a do-over.
My job is to sit with some of the
You don't get a do-over. You either condemn evil regimes or you don't. You've made your position clear.
Sit with some of the
your content is more important to you than telling the truth.
As much as I can about their personality.
Sure.
That's what I do.
Yeah, let me help you with the personalities of a Taliban. They hate women.
All of them.
Yeah, okay. Let me bring Yalda back in. Yeah, Yalda, the terrible withdrawal under Joe Biden of American troops. We all watched it unfurl on television, but it had an instant and cataclysmically bad impact, particularly for women in Afghanistan, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You quoted the numbers there, Piers. 1,400 days almost since Afghan girls over the age of 12 haven't been able to go to school. Almost 1,000 days since women haven't been able to go to universities. One by one, their rights were taken away. Women can't go to salons, for example. I talked about the fact that they can't even take their children to the park. I've travelled, as I said, to Afghanistan multiple times across the country, down to Kandahar. I've been to madrasas where young boys were being radicalised. I've gone on an ISIS raid with the Taliban where they were going after ISIS suicide bombers. But frankly, this is still an incredibly dangerous country. And as you say, there is a reason why the State Department, the FCDO, has put a travel ban on the country. So the fact that these guys are going there and glorifying the situation and not giving a full picture of frankly, the dangers that so many women and girls and men who speak up against the Taliban continue to face and linger in prisons, detained and tortured if they come out and protest against these groups. But to sort of think it's funny that you tell little girls to go back into their cages when frankly in the next few years they won't be able to go to school, or they'll be subject to child marriage, or they'll be subject to another form of oppression, you know, because you get a lot of clicks on your YouTube videos, you know, is something to think about.
Yeah, and Arab, I mean, just for the record, are you opposed to the radicalisation of young children?
Of course.
Okay, let's watch a clip then. This is from your trip entitled "The Young Taliban Train Me for War."
We're witnessing a young Talib mujahideen class. This is crazy. And the sheikh is about to lead them all.
So get closer, and then they'll start saying, like, they'll start having saying something.
Okay. Okay.
د دښمن په مقابل کې د فولاد په څیر کلک ودرېږئ. حوادث معظم متزلزل نه کړي. د اعلی قدر امیر المؤمنین ملا محمد عمر له ویناو څخه چې مې تر څو سپینې ماڼۍ ته رسولی نه یې، چې مې تر څو سپینې ماڼۍ ته رسولی نه یې، د امارت سپینه بیرغ پوروړی دی.
Hilarious, right, Arab?
Actually, yeah, when I saw that with my own eyes, I couldn't help but laugh because it was so funny how radical it was.
Yeah, so you actually do just find it really funny that young kids get radicalized.
How I've survived in the craziest place in the world is finding things funny.
Yeah, and this is the root of the problem with you, Arab, isn't it? Is it to you? It's all a bit of fun content, but there you've got a bunch of young kids being radicalized to be killers.
See that what I'm telling the world is that there is no point in invading this country because you can't win. All you can do is kill more people. Because invading this country, they start training at age 6. They're not going to lose because they believe they're fighting for God. And so what you're doing is you're sending US soldiers or Western soldiers or whatever, and they're dying and you're killing people. So what I'm doing with my content through the humor is showing you that it's literally this fucking crazy.
Actually, you know what? Had you had this tone in that clip, very different. Had you sounded that concerned and that angry and that impassioned, that's one thing. But you don't. There ain't no money in you being a proper journalist. The money comes from you laughing.
It's so messed up that you're training these kids.
The money is just, isn't this funny?
Hey,
isn't this funny?
Taliban in front of me. Hey guys, come on. Don't train.
Sorry, Arab, when I went to southern Afghanistan, to Kandahar, and I went to a madrasa where children were being radicalized, I took them on. And I was thrown out of there with these little kids about 6 or 7 years old chasing me down the street with pebbles. So if you want to be a journalist, you've got to ask the tough questions.
I do take
and
them
you,
on,
you,
and I
you,
do
you
ask
do
the
have to
tough
take
questions.
those risks and
Well,
ask the questions and confront them rather than say, how can I ask these questions in front of these Taliban with guns? Well, you know, I did that. So if you want to be a journalist, they're the sorts of risks you have to take if you want to give a full picture to the world.
Doesn't hit the current generation. My way of talking does. That's why it does hundreds of millions of views.
And that
the
right
generation
there,
looks at it
right there is the problem. And that's the problem. It's why so many young people have such a chronically ill-informed view of the world, because you've got clowns like you laughing on your YouTube channel about kids being radicalised, and you have the audacity to criticise someone like Yalda, who's one of the best correspondents and now anchors in the country, right? Who's actually born there and been there many times, and you have the audacity to say no one cares about the way you report this. That's the problem.
You're telling us that we have an ill-informed view of the world when we've literally traveled the world and our sole job is to survive through talking to people in different languages, cultures, different societies, and actually surviving with them in a new place that might be completely dangerous in the unknown that we have no idea, and we've come out completely untouched, all of us.
Yeah, but when journalists like you, who call yourself, when people call themselves,
and rather you get your view of the world from being in a studio reading statistics off a screen, we actually experience it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You went there.
Fascinating.
You went there for 10 days, Arab. You know, and that's your perspective of Afghanistan.
Sure.
A 10-day travel blog, you know, with the Taliban. But
and guess what happened? And guess what happened in those 10 days off camera? Every night, I sat with 20 Taliban generals and suicide bombers, and they tried to convert me. And you know what they told me every time they tried to convert me? They said, hey, although we want you to be a Muslim, you're a guest in our country, and that is more important than anything. And so we want you to know that you're safe.
I wish they'd say that to the women of Afghanistan. I wish they'd allow the women of Afghanistan to travel across the country without a male chaperone. Some women can't, in certain villages in Afghanistan, according to the Taliban's new edicts, can't travel, 70 kilometers without a male chaperone. So I wish they'd afforded the same luxury to the women.
Let me ask Harry, has anything that Yalda's been saying made you think harder about this?
Yeah, of course. No, I think it's very important what she's talking about, and I think what you're talking about is very important. But I think we're missing the point is that I didn't travel to Afghanistan to chill out with the Taliban and become friends with them. It was obviously because you see them every day. You have to see them every day, so you spend time with them naturally. But the point of going to Afghanistan was to see the people of Afghanistan, show that the history, the culture. Of course, there were parts where I had to integrate the Taliban, and everyone, you're making this show about, everyone wants to know about the Taliban. So it did become a part of the YouTube video, but that wasn't the focus, and that's not the, I went to North Korea. Do I agree with their politics? Of course not.
Okay. And final word to you, Nolan. Has anything Yalda said made you rethink perhaps the way that YouTubers approach this kind of issue?
What I'd like to say is that I respect all journalists and all forms of journalists. And I do think what Arab did is something that no network could achieve. Arab inserted himself into certain situations that you couldn't do with a news network. And I think he provided footage that has never been seen by the world. Real candid conversations that no one has ever heard, and I think it's only possible by kind of low-key YouTubers that aren't part of a network, regardless if he fundamentally disagrees with them or he doesn't support them. I do think that he definitely went in there and he definitely came out with footage that the world hasn't seen, and that's
true. That's true. It definitely. I hadn't seen people laughing at young kids being radicalized like that, so that was definitely true. I hadn't seen that before.
It's so wild, Piers. It's funny.
Actually, you know what?
You can't show that because your stance on the show has to be that you're angry and
No, I don't. I spent a lot of time very happy. Before I did this segment, England just won a big cricket match. I was thrilled. You know who couldn't take part in that cricket match? Afghani women couldn't play cricket for their country. They're not allowed to. They're banned. So there's no joy for Afghani women who want to celebrate a cricket match because they're not allowed to play cricket. That's why it's not funny. And that's why your glib, constant hilarity about all this jars with me. And that's why I don't think you're a journalist. You're a YouTuber. You're making a lot of money. You're getting a lot of clicks. And what you're doing is being used, whether you know it or not, by the Taliban as an arm of their propaganda. And if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. Yalda, final word to you. You're the founder of the Yalda Hakim Foundation. It supports education for disadvantaged Afghan girls. Is there any hope, do you think, in the short to mid-term for these girls?
You know, Piers, Afghan women and girls are ultimately incredibly resilient. And I went and saw a number of secret schools that they're operating, you know, with the threat, facing the threat of severe punishment if they are discovered. And you realise, actually, they survived the first Taliban regime, and their resilience, their strength, they will continue to persevere and fight for their rights, regardless of what the YouTubers think is funny or not. So I do have hope, no matter what happens in Afghanistan next.
Great to have you, Yalda, on Uncensored. And thank you to the three gentlemen for coming on Uncensored too. I appreciate it. I just hope next time you go, you just take on board some of the things that we've discussed here, and there's a little bit more edge to your journalistic work. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is me. If you enjoy our show, we ask for only one simple thing. Hit subscribe on YouTube and follow Piers Morgan Uncensored on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in return, we will continue our mission to inform, irritate and entertain. And we'll do it all for free. Independent, uncensored media has never been more critical, and we couldn't do it without you.